Hey everybody, my name's Paul, and we have the lovely Bev Wood with us today, and she's going to talk a little more to us about the ageless wisdom. And so we're just going to give it to you, Bev. Take it away.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Yeah, this is Bev, and we are going to, before I go into what I'm going to present, I need to talk about what's going to happen tomorrow. A very profound yearly cyclic event called the Fall Equinox. That's tomorrow, September 22nd. It is the fall equinox. So we're going to be involved with the polarity of Libra and Aries. And this is a time when day and night are equal. The sun is equally shining on along that equinox line. So these two arms, I may have mentioned before, are the two of the arms of what is called the cardinal cross. These four energies initiate events. So in Aries, we have, of course, spring. In its polarity, we have autumn. I won't talk about Capricorn and Cancer until then, but those are the other two. So the seeds that we planted in Aries in the spring are now able to be harvested in the fall in Libra. So think about that, the harvesting. Okay, Libra begins the lower, initiates what we call the lower interlude of the year. So, what happens after we harvest? Life begins to withdraw into itself in preparation for, again, spring. But before that happens, we have to enter into the lowest and the darkest point of the yearly cycle, which happens in December under Capricorn, one of the other arms of this cardinal cross. Aries, as Capricorn is the lowest interlude, Aries begins the highest interlude of the new year. So this is when life renews itself. So we're talking about its polarity of Libra, which is going to initiate for us this withdrawing within. All life does that at this time of the year. So this axis, this polarity, I guess if I would choose one phrase for these two signs would be the peaceful warrior. And I think this is very appropriate for us right now. Peaceful. Libra is the sign of harmony and balance, peace. What is Aries? It is the warrior. It is the active, masculine, aggressive sometimes force that begins and initiates these new events and actions and just pushing forward. But if we could come into that midway point between the two, then we become a warrior for peace. That is something that we really need to be embracing right now. So, Libra is the sign, it is called the sign of decision. This is literally when the soul makes a decision to begin to walk consciously the path of return. Consciously. Libra is an air sign. So, the work here for all of us is called equilibrium. And as peaceful warriors, we must stand at that midway point between the two lines of force that Libra represents, or duality. And we must not add to the chaos of the world. This is what we're being asked to do. So, just to be aware, tomorrow is a turning point in the yearly cycle and for us as well. So just pay attention, do your meditations, just be conscious that this is offering us a chance to stand in that midway point. Okay. So we're going to be talking about the second aspect or the second aspect of that Trinity that we started talking about a couple of weeks ago or maybe a month ago. But it has occurred to me that if we're going to study the Trinity, which is the foundation of everything, then I need to introduce to you just a thought. We will go into that more and more. These seven rays, these are the prototypes of seven great beings within the cosmic deity that are actually all of the qualifying energies of the whole cosmic order of life. Every single being that is evolving in this cosmic order are affected by these rays. And we'll, like I said, we'll go into that a little bit more. Today, we're going to be talking. So let me just say, when I introduce to you the first aspect of the Trinity, which is what? The spiritual aspect, the Father, the creative, masculine, active principle. It is governed by the first ray of will or power. Makes sense. Will or power, the very first ray. And like I said, we can go into those a little bit later. So I just wanted to set that up because today we're going to be looking at this second aspect of the Trinity, and it is governed by the second ray of love wisdom. So if we think about that Trinity, we've already talked about the Father. At the complete polarity of that is the Mother, but the linking in between the Mother and the Father is the second aspect called the soul. Remember, you are a spirit, a soul, and a form. So we're basically talking about our makeup. What really rules this physical life? So it is the linking between the first aspect of Father Spirit and the third aspect of Mother Form. So there's a couple of names that have been given in all the writings. It's one of the confusing things when you begin as a student because you're introduced to this second aspect of the Trinity and it has different names and you have to kind of put them together eventually through your study. But it is literally the Son, S-O-N aspect, Father, Son, Mother. It's called the Christ principle, the ego, the egoic lotus, the higher self, the causal body. But what it is the light of the Father. It is the pure consciousness, which is love. It holds the heart of the Father, the Son. One of the greatest masters that ever walked said, "The way to the Father is through me." He wasn't talking about him personally, although that's what happened. He's talking about the principle of the second aspect of the soul. The way to the Father, the Spirit, is through the soul. You must come into contact with that. Okay, so the Son holds the heart of the Father, which is the soul. The soul is a group conscious entity. It it does not recognize anything of separateness. It is genderless. It is colorblind. It is non-religious. It is a group conscious entity. We have to keep that in mind, okay? So, as I said before, we're going to talk about the second aspect, the soul. And it is ruled by the second ray of love and wisdom. Love, wisdom. In our planetary hierarchy, in the Earth hierarchy, there are two brothers which hold the second ray. The Christ, the Lord of love, and the Buddha, the Lord of wisdom. These two entities have been working together for eons of time. And they literally, the Lord of love and the Lord of wisdom, hold this second ray. Just to tell you that our solar deity himself is in his second incarnation or the second solar system, and he is evolving the second ray of love wisdom. And all beings within him are evolving that ray. So he is the son of a greater entity. He is living and moving. So just to say, if he hasn't perfected love yet, isn't there hope for us? Yes, there is. So let's talk a little bit. What is love? Well, we, at our point of evolution, we really, our limited experience and our limited information, knowledge, we really do not know. If the solar deity himself has not perfected it, how in the world are we supposed to know? But I suppose you could call it the absolute nature of deity. And like I said, we can't comprehend that. So we are all heading, and he is, towards pure love. That's the whole foundation of this incarnation for him. So let's look at a few characteristics of the soul that we can begin to consciously develop within ourselves. The immediate work for each one of us is to bring our daily living into the rhythm of our soul. That is primary. What do I mean by that? I mean consciously sacrificing our little ego once in a while to make contact with that entity that literally created this vehicle of mind, emotion, and a physical body for one reason, for one purpose, to serve. Okay, that's one of the great aspects of the soul. It is a server to what? The Father. And we must become servers to that agenda that the soul has brought back. So here's a couple of those, besides service: beauty, goodness, truth, and joy. These are the four great characteristics of the soul. Let's look at beauty. What is beauty? It, for one thing, as I talk later, the fourth ray is the ray of harmony through conflict, which results in beauty. It rules every single being in the human kingdom. We are ruled by the fourth ray of beauty, but that comes through attaining harmony. Harmony and order. Bring order to our lives. It reveals divinity in form in our lives. But we can experience it through what? Music, color, reading, beautiful words that stir us up into higher levels of thinking and being. Meditation, whatever that is, whatever that means. Working in the garden can be a meditation. Take 20 minutes of your day and just be in beauty for just that much time. You owe it to yourself and to the one who you are here to serve, the soul, the second aspect. Goodness. What is goodness? It is the love of God that is consciously expressed. We must become harmless in that goodness. Let me tell you what a definition of a true human being is: one who is totally harmless to themselves and all others. Are we doing that? Do we know anybody who has done that? We know there are a few great beings that have accomplished that, but we're not there yet. We are harmful still to ourselves and each other and all the other kingdoms on this planet. We must establish goodness within our consciousness. Truth. There's only one truth. The laws that govern all of the seven universal laws and the seven laws of the soul. This is what we must evolve into. There's only one truth. It's not my truth or your truth or their truth. One truth, one life. Okay, remember, one life. Joy. What is joy? Selfless service. That is a state of beingness. It is group consciousness through group work. Finding your ray group. That's an attractive, magnetic expression of the soul. The soul is magnetic. So here's a trinity. Everything's a trinity. We're going to talk about the personality, the soul, and the spirit. That's our trinity, right? So let's look at the three aspects of a state of being. Happiness. What is happiness? It's a condition of the personality, the I. It's constantly changing. Today I'm happy, tomorrow I'm not so much. Okay? We're not happy, and that's something that's really missing just basically in our day-to-day living. That's going to change. Something, a great event is in the revelation stage right now that hopefully will change that for humanity to come into happiness. Joy, as I said, joy is a state of consciousness of the soul. It's the us, the group. Ultimately, it leads to peace of mind. Peace of mind. That's that Libra aspect of ourselves. And then bliss. Bliss is a state of beingness, just to be. It is the spiritual aspect. It's the we. So we have the I, the us, the we, the personality, the soul, the spirit. That Trinity works through everything, everything. So this is kind of the culmination today of that second ray of love wisdom, which rules the second aspect of the great Trinity that ensouls every living being in this cosmic order. And I would like to leave you with a soul mantra that I love and I use all the time. At the center of all love I stand, and naught can touch me here. And from that center I shall go forth to love and serve. This is the call of the soul. My soul, your soul, our soul. Thank you.
All right, and thank you. One little question before we tune out. You talked about ego in two different ways. You talked about the son aspect, the Christ, the ego,
Right.
and then you talked about our problem ego.
Yeah.
Just take a
Yeah.
moment here to
Clarify that.
clarify that distinction.
Right. That's really a good question because that's one of those things that we're kind of like, what? I don't get it. So the one is a little e, that's the personality, this ego that really under illusion believes it's in control. This has been, this is has been and is part of the problem for humanity. There's not enough of the higher ego with the capital E that is one of the names of the soul. So we have this relationship, the higher self, the ego, the egoic lotus, the causal body, okay, the one who created this threefold form, okay, that is the soul. And then the other part of that relationship is the little ego, the personality life. So that's a really good distinction to make. The reason that they're both called ego, one small, one large, is because really they are one. The we're told the personality and that physical expression is not a principle in nature. It is an illusion from the aspect of the soul, the higher ego. It is an illusion, and yet it needs that threefold form called our personality to what? Serve its agenda in the physical world. So Bev and Paul are trying to work and bring our daily living, that little ego, into the rhythm of the higher self, the higher ego, so that we can serve not just the soul, but as a server, enter into world service as well. That's what we're all here to do.
All right. Okay, so if you have questions, post them here. Send us a little comment with a question. And before we sign out, Bev, why don't you once again give us that little prayer?
At the center of all love I stand, and naught can touch me here. And from that center I shall go forth to love and serve.
Thank you much. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
everyone.
Thank you, everyone.